Hello and welcome to episode 66 of Let's Talk Tactics. I'm your host, Zach Bro.
Hey, I'm Daniel Boone.
And it is Final Fantasy 6 anniversary class match all these days, or weeks rather, today. Whatever description you want to make it, whatever's important to you. We are going to not, I'm just going to say it straight up right now. We are not going deep diving on the rune system right now. I personally don't think I am qualified whatsoever to tell you what to do with your runes. I My basic idea so far is I'm going for the luck set on offense, and then I'm doing some mix of other things on defense depending on who I'm using, and I've focused it around my class match team. But there is so much to unpack there, and right now I'm honestly just farming the daily double thing like all day every day, and then I'm just gonna stockpile and look later. Daniel, are you kind of in that same boat right now, just kind of stockpiling and
Yeah, especially because of this first week is kind of crucial to like building up your farm, right? Like you they're not all double stages. You have to so like you're spending more energy than really you should be. So I mean, unless you want to be really inefficient and just like use all of your energy for the day to like get like all of the different stages, like a bunch from each. I figured like me personally, I am farming like the double stage each day, building up my like blues and greens and purples, and just doing the best I can with those.
yeah, I think one of my guildies mentioned it was like you could do 10. I think he said one or two, but I saw it was more like 10 skip tickets on each room, and you got enough to like make one rune set. Or
Something
no,
like that.
or you got enough to make three rune sets. Sorry, like three different TMRs, and then just run with that. Just
Yeah,
re-equip it where you need to.
that's
So,
what I did on like Wednesday or Thursday maybe. But yeah, I was just like, oh, like the efficient, like the engineer in me was like, I hated it.
right, right, no, absolutely. And then after that, I did my, whatever the current daily double is, we'll call it.
Daily
Uh,
double.
exactly. So yeah, it's actually farming right now. Normally, I don't have my stuff farming while we're podcasting, but that's also inefficient. So we're doing that now. So yeah, in the future, we may talk about it, like kind of what our favorite sets are, what our thoughts are. My initial impression though is if you don't know what else to do, honestly, just put luck on offense. That's kind of what I've fallen into because it's gonna, I mean, luck or accuracy, but either way, just help you against evasion. I don't know,
Yeah,
like
I did
it's
accuracy and evasion.
yeah, it's the most like baseline thing to do, I think. Very intricate system. It's one of those systems that I'm going to love, but I hate right now because I don't understand it. Like I'm not. I understand the general idea, but the optimization is just so it can get so deep that it's overwhelming, but in like a eventually it's gonna feel like a good overwhelming way.
Yeah, I
Like
think
it's gonna reward those who put the time in. It's gonna be really cool.
yeah, there's a lot of FOMO right now, like fear of missing out. Because like if you just dive straight into like the pinks and to a lesser extent the yellows, and you're doing trial and error stuff on like the highest rarity things just so that you can have the biggest edge. Um, you might waste more than you should and regret it later and stuff. So that's why I haven't personally messed with them, even though I've read up on the runes enough by now to like be ready for it. I just haven't felt comfortable with it yet.
So yeah, we are not gonna go deep diving on that. Just want to get that out of the way in case anybody's watching this, like expecting us to get to it and like really dive. It'll come eventually, but for right now, I'm not comfortable pretending like I know what I'm talking about. So we are going to talk about the vision cards that came out this week and the ear guards, but we're going to save the Final Fantasy 6 units and their respective weapons. We'll mention them at some point during this podcast. We're not going to go like deep dive into them until next week because we have a class match to talk about finally. And this one, I think, has some, decent talking points. So we may actually get a lot of information out of that. So, and I know Daniel over here is doing pretty well. So I think he's going to have a lot of insight here. So, in that vein, let's just jump into the vision cards real quick. Talk about these and our thoughts. Let's start with Happy Birthday Global. I believe everybody got this card, right? Like everybody gets all three cards,
Yeah, I
as far
believe
as I'm
so.
aware. These are interesting because they each have like generic unit effects, so whoever has them on can benefit. But then the party effects are actually rainbow. So or not rainbow like every element, but they have different subsets of elements. So for
More
example, the
than
happy
mono.
birthday, right, right. The happy birthday, I guess it's quad element. Happy birthday global is ice, earth, light, and dark, which is interesting. I guess it's all the units on the card,
It is, yeah.
but it's an interesting combination for sure. The two MR ones are both the second anniversary banquet 1 and 2, part 1 and part 2. Have the sort of the color pie oh no, they don't have the color pie opposites because one's wind and earth. What the fuck? Oh, I thought they were actually like we talk about elemental advantage, like the triangles,
Yeah, maybe they should
and
be.
I thought that's what they were, but they're not actually. It's like fire. I thought it was fire, skipping ice, wind, skipping earth, lightning,
Right.
but it's actually fire, wind, earth. What the fuck? All right. Regardless, it's those ones with light, and then
What the
it's
fuck?
ice. Yeah, right. And it's ice, lightning, water, and dark for the other one. Um, Happy birthday, global. 239 HP, middling. 39 AP, pretty solid. That's quite a bit of AP. 122 attack and 22 magic. So relatively balanced. Obviously skewing a little more towards the attack though, because it also gives unit effective attack percent 20, and then party is all elemental attack up by quick maths 15, and then those four elements, the ice, earth, light, and dark, again get crit rate 13. So they all get the same effect. And it's going to help all of these units like Zazan, Fravia, Elena, Dwayne. That's what these are designed for. Um, Synergy together. And with this new, I guess the other system, sub VCs came out, which is another thing to talk about. Um, this could be a good sub VC. Anyway, do you have any thoughts on this in terms of viability? It's obviously not very powerful because it's so versatile and they give it out for free. So of course it's not going to be like the craziest thing in the world. But do you see yourself using this in PvP at all, or is this kind of just like a PvE thing for you?
I think these vision cards benefit newer players the most, and I think that may be part of why they designed them this way.
Yeah.
But holy shit, 39 AP, that's like the most we've seen on a vision card. I think
Yeah.
the next lower is like 20, like half of like this current value, and it's just like, whoa. Maybe new players like using this that get used to it will suddenly have like they switch to other vision cards and they're like, dude, why is my AV pool suddenly like not as
Like
much as it used to be?
25% less or something.
Yeah, something.
Something.
Yeah. So that just purely by the AP stat, that's just crazy to me. Um, this one in particular, the fact that it helps out only like the global limited units. I think it's kind of weird. I mean, it doesn't have lightning for like Ibarra, but that's only because you know like Ibarra wasn't really part of this vision card contest, right? Um, so I mean, but like Dwayne, Elena, Zazan, and Freya are represented. I don't know how much crit rate is going to really help, or really like the attack bestowed on like these magic units, but I mean it's a decent kind of net, I guess you would say, for like newer players. But I don't really expect to use it. No, I haven't been impressed with the rainbow, like the elemental attack vision card that we've had since last October. I think the one where it had like Fina and Mashri together on it. Um,
Yeah.
I've been tempted to use that, but like ever since we got like the Jaden vision card with the luck or the light Dex 35% value on it, it hasn't really been relevant since then.
Yeah, I've used that elemental attack card before to kind of glue teams together, but yeah, it's not super impactful. It's nice, it's just not insane.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And like you said, like this is crit rate 13. None of these units I think are super crit based. Elena crits quite a bit, but it's not like they're bread and butter. So I think you can definitely focus more on the things everything or everyone can benefit from outside of those four elements, and it's an okay card. It's a free card, I think, is what it is. Definitely good for PvE and for newer players, but remains to be seen if it'll have an impact in PvP. I think if it does have an impact in PvP, it'll be on the back of that 39 AP, enabling some kind of opener that
Strategy, yeah.
you wouldn't be able to do otherwise. Um, Moving on to the other two, though, obviously neither of these are PvP cards because their bestowed effects are JP up.
What do you mean?
and they both have HP 8% for their respective elements. So it's nothing crazy. Like you can use a sub VC of like a particular element, or even just Titan if you want more than 8% HP. So regardless, though, they both have 222 HP. Their attack and magic are flipped, so one is 78 attack and 53 magic. The other one is the opposite. And then their bestows are also the same. So whichever one has the 78 attack has 30% attack on party, which actually that's not awful, especially if you don't have like Ifrit maxed or an elemental attack percent 50% one maxed. This could be decent. Same with the other one with the 30% magic. I don't think there's a whole lot of time to spend on this other than just cool for PvE stuff if you don't have other anything else to put there. And really it's just for farming, I think, with the
I think
50% GP acquisition.
the coolest thing about it is that they took like the art, like the spread, and like split it in half. You know, like the poster that they showed for the second anniversary, and
Oh
so
shit,
like
that is what that is. Okay,
you
I
can
actually
you
didn't realize
can
that.
you can look at these vision cards and always see the art for the second anniversary banquet. So yeah, I think that's really interesting. Just on a like a fan of the game kind of standpoint.
Yeah, PvP wise, yeah, we're skipping them. I think we're skipping them. There's a lot of other cards that do similar effects that have other stuff that benefits you on bestow. So, uh, good to have. Cool for newer players. I'll be using them on farming teams for sure because 50% JP is more than some of my other stuff. So, yeah, going from there. Actually, that's interesting thought. Is with sub VCs, you can get that JP even higher if you stack up like multiple bestows. That's a pretty cool thing. Which I guess we'll talk more about the sub VCs, I think, when we get into class match. But last one that's not related to Final Fantasy VI is the Overwatcher's Ear Guards. So this was the anniversary sort of gift we got. Again, passive effect, acquired JP 50%, another source of this effect. Yay farming. It when you max it, it has 384 HP, actually decent. 10 defense, 10 spirit, 3 agility, 8 accuracy. All decent stats. The actually is low, but you know, it's still not a negative or something. Everyone can use it. It's free. The 3 agility with some stats, cool. It's
Did you read
again.
the Did you read the lore?
All right, we'll read it right now because no, I haven't. It says black ear guards from a distant world. Oh yeah, they are those headphones. They're loved and used by a man with a famously charming smile. It is said that instead of hindering his hearing ability, these ear guards actually allow him to hear the many unheard voices that permeate his world. This charismatic individual is believed to use the ear guards in order to guide that world toward a better future. I think he needs to take them off and listen to the live PvP community telling them to make more of those guys. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's Justin.
It's what?
It's Justin.
Is it?
It just makes
All
me
right.
it makes me laugh. It's cool. It's like a cool little nod to their community manager. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, I like Justin. Don't get me wrong, and I know he doesn't have all the power in the world, so I don't really get mad at him for changes not happening. So, um, that's I'm like looking at the icon on it too, or the what is this? Is that a lion on it?
Yeah, it's the War of the Vision. Well, I guess you could say yeah, it's the Leonis lion.
That's what I was thinking that might be what it is. I wonder if he has those in real life, like if he got
Dude,
custom made ones with the Leona symbol on it.
I would expect yeah. I think that would be I mean, like, why else would they put it there? Like, they're,
So he's
like,
gonna stream and
specifically.
he's gonna be playing Overwatch. Is
He's
that what
sweet.
we sometime with these on?
I wondered, I was like, the Overwatcher, this is like it reminds me of Marvel's, like, What If show with, like, the Watcher. Have you seen that?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, so on Disney Plus, they have, a show that, explores different scenarios in the universe, like, pre-Phase 4, and, it shows
Wait,
interesting
phase
takes.
four? What is phase
Yeah,
four?
so Phase 4 is everything after Avengers Endgame.
Oh, okay.
So, the Watcher, I can't remember specifically what his name is, but, like, he watches from, like, another dimension or, like, outside of the universe, and like, the intro is something along the lines of, "Follow me and ponder the question, what if?" Like, what if, like, Killmonger saved Tony Stark from being kidnapped in the original Iron Man, and, like, different, like, There's one that's like, what if everyone like the zombie apocalypse happens and like all of the Avengers turn into zombies and just really interesting, compelling stuff. So this kind of just reminds me of that, the Overwatch regards.
Is that like one above all or beyonder? One of those two?
No, 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 no.
He's just called the Watcher. Is that okay? I don't know if that was one of the two. Anyway, I've
Yeah,
gone super deep on these before of like the power scales of Marvel and like how it just gets
right.
ridiculous when you get to the top, and then there's like one above all who's just like
But
Stanley
yeah, yeah,
in
yeah.
comic book form. But
You should check it out if you have the chance though. It should still be on Disney Plus.
I mean, if they took it off, that'd be kind of weird. Yeah, I think that's all we really have to say about those items. Good to have, cool that they're free and all that. But nothing super impactful, kind of in the live PvP realm. But what is impactful in the live PvP realm is having a class match and then also having two new systems to learn during that class match period of sub VCs and trust stones. Yay! It's been man, I've been wondering the whole time.
Wait, wait,
Uh,
wait. I'm sorry to interrupt, but
you're good.
we just nearly had a moment that mirrored like Gumi's like official
Yes,
live
I know.
streams where
Yep,
everyone's
I
like,
knew that's what you were gonna say. Like, yay! Except I had more enthusiasm. No, I
"Oh
was kidding.
god,
It's fucked up.
killing me." Okay, sorry. Please
Alright.
continue.
No, you're good. I actually I caught it too. I just was not. I was gonna say it. Systems. Oh, there were multiple times where I was playing against evasion teams. We'll get into this obviously in more detail, but where it was just straight up zero chance, and I'm like, I have a little accuracy on. I wonder if these people have just like max trust runes, and like I've been questioning all of my realities of like I'm doing less damage than I think. They seems like they have more health or they're dodging more or whatever. I'm like, is this a factor of like me being behind on runes or like have they figured out a vision card combination that I didn't? I've been just racking my brain. But I think I'd say let's start real quick with talking a little bit about the sub VCs because I think that's going to kind of get into how we team build a little bit. Um, the one of the big like the obvious takeaway is that you can like really soup up mono elements if you just like stack six. Like I have five ice VCs and then another VC on the team. And that other VC is my second 15% agility VC because apparently those stack now with the half effects. So previously, if you have two effects on your team in your party effects, they don't like it'll just overwrite and just take the higher. But they're letting us have multiples now. So I have a 15% and an 8% agility in the party. Well, it's a 15 that's halved to 8 as a sub VC. And my agility is very high. My first team comp I had, Rafal had 135 starting agility, which was insane. Yeah. What have you been messing with these now that we can stack those? And actually, I have a question too. I haven't explicitly checked it. If we put them in the first slot, do they stack, or is it specifically from the sub VC will stack with main VC?
It's basically you're familiar with taking along a companion and having them stack. It's something. It's kind of like that, except for like the companions isn't half. It's just like you get the same bonus again. It has to be like sub VC separated from main VC.
So you
Does that make
can't do like
sense?
two sub VCs with agility and get both.
Yeah,
It'll take the higher of
yeah,
like both sections, like your three
yeah,
of here and three
yeah,
here.
yeah.
Okay,
And it's
that's
the
what I
same
thought.
with like attack bonuses and magic bonuses and attack type bonuses and stuff like that.
Yeah, so this system's opened up a lot, and specifically, I've talked about ice VCs before, and how I'm always like, I want the last one for agility, I want Frieza's for ice attack, and then that third slot's always either like Odin if I need accuracy, it's Fenrir if I want to just blow people up. It's like, I mean, Trist is always like number 4, and then that third slot's these other ones. I rarely want Trist, but now it's pretty cool. I can use Trist on sub or whatever else. Like Odin, I can put on every team. I can put it on a sub and not feel as bad about it. Or even like Fenrir, like I don't have to have it on main because I'll take the whatever it is, like 28, 30%, whatever the half is. Because it's not exactly half, right? Do you happen to know what the 50% when they're halved are? I don't have these
Um,
memorized yet.
It's weird, like, some of them have seemed like they are not exactly halved all the time,
Oh, they're
but
definitely not half. Yeah, they're different
I
ratios.
can't. Yeah, like, we actually have, like, a spreadsheet, that shows, like, the different percentages. I haven't referred to it since before the 2nd anniversary, actually. I think I really should have today to prep and to give you guys, like, a better idea. It is out there, and I'm pretty sure I pinned it in the live PvP server, so, um yeah, it depends on what the bonus is, what kind of percentage of the main vision card stats it'll be.
Hmm.
But I think the attack is like 28 to 35%, something
Definitely
like that.
somewhere in there.
Yeah,
Like Fenrir, I always wanted because I wanted more attack, but I can put it on sub and not feel too bad about it. I still get like one
yeah.
agility from it, which is cool. And then I can put Odin on and be less greedy and have that 20 accuracy. Or not 20. Is it 20? I can have the accuracy, whatever it is. It's
It's
20.
usually
It's 25.
25.
I think it's 25.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, but either way, the other cool thing. Now, this is less important for live PvP, but the ice Fryevia's ice card that puts hate on, I can have that as a sub VC. Just have that little bit of hate to mess with
Yeah.
starting movement from things like guild battles, which is actually really big because that card is not bad, but I've never wanted to put it in my three. But having that on sub is incredible. Uh, so it's really opening up a lot of interesting opportunities like that. Um, yeah, looking at the HP and TP is 75%. Wow, it's got the table over here. Interesting. Like how well acquired JP is 100% on party.
Max
Interesting.
damage stays the same.
Pretty cool. The max damage will be interesting to see in raids to see how people
Yeah.
do that. And then also when you're in a raid and you have a sub VC, how does that work across having like multiple people with the same like that's the optimization is going to be pretty crazy to see, and I'm excited to see what people do with it. But do you have any like super notable things to think about with the sub VC system that you've noticed, or things that you think other people might want to think about that you've kind of come up with, but maybe isn't super known yet?
So I would say the most notable thing to me is how it affects evasion and accuracy. Because it used to be that really only that I've seen among the top evaders, like it's been hard to reach 500 plus luck, and nowadays, like it's easier to get to 500 plus, and um, it depends on how much you're focusing on reaching those higher levels of evade. I think that's why we're seeing such a disparity between um, teams that you think you're focusing enough accuracy on to try to compensate for facing all the evade teams. It's like this is kind of the second renaissance of evade, to be honest. I think we're seeing so many evade teams now, even despite the all the guaranteed hit that's out, and I think it has to do with the rune system as well as the vision cards being able to be set in the sub VC slot. So in terms of like what I was talking about, the evasion and the accuracy impact from the sub VCs, like being able to stack like your luck 35%, like your evasion and your agility twice basically. Luck is like it's like basically halved on the sub VC. Like agility is like it's like you said, it's 8%. And evasion I think is also halved. Um,
Evasion, I almost want to say it was like 12 out of 20 or something.
okay.
I'm double
I can't
checking.
remember.
I'm checking
I think
myself
it's
while you're
10,
talking.
but
Oh
the
no, you're right. You're
fact
right.
the fact that you can, I don't know if it's artificially, but like you can, the fact that you can use these to really give your evade team that much more steroids um, is just increasing the gap between uh, teams that can really employ that kind of evade stuff to uh, the most benefit, as opposed to like the casual live PvPer who's just like they don't really think too much about it. They may have some skill at like positioning and strategy and stuff like that, but like they're not that invested. Like it's definitely going to reward the people that are the most invested in it, but even at that high ends of PvP, I think it can still catch people unawares. So you can be really invested, but that's no longer the highest reward for doing well in PvP. It's about um, how much of an advantage you can get by focusing on all this stuff. So yeah, it's kind of complicated. I can't really say that I like it. I'm not a big fan of the increasing power gap and power curve that is kind of fundamental to gotchas and other games, especially competitive games. But just trying to make the best of it.
So it looks like it's 42%. So it's like that haste number, like the
Yeah,
random
it's
extra
weird.
two. So I think you get 8 from the sub. I almost want to say I remember seeing a Shiva on 8, but you're talking about evasion. Yeah, a lot of the stuff I've seen from like Elena, Locke, and Jaden is like a team I saw, and they had all the normal light stuff, but one of the sub VCs was Shiva, and the other one was Secrets of the Heart. So it was like they had an extra like 18% luck or
Yep,
whatever, and then they had the 8 from Shiva, and that, and then they're like Luel TMR. I was like, sick. I'm glad I have 3 sure hits, but like
that's exactly the
it's
team that I
insane.
ended up using yesterday, and I went
Is it?
5-0. Yeah, because I was just like, I've well, we'll get into the teams that we've used, obviously once we're ready to, but I've used a bunch of different teams and just ended up on that one, and it was just absurd the difference it made in the difficulty of my games.
Yeah, I mean we can hop into that now. I think we talked enough about like our at least shotgun ideas about the VCs, and more will come up in the future. I'm sure we'll find new combinations, new things to think about. But for now, yeah, we can hop right into this. So we are returning to the first class match map ever. Uh, right? This is check
Yeah,
me.
it's the
Yep.
first one.
Okay. Yeah, but it's like, I was waiting for you to be like, yep.
Oh, sorry.
And I
Yeah,
think we've been there. This is the third time. Different rule set. This time there's no quicken, no re-raise, no raise, no full life, no CT changes. So even if you do like Mont's whatever thing where he gets like 25 CT, nope, none of that. No Keen Blade, no Eldira LB. Even though my opponent did use Eldira LB on auto. And no, well, not no healing, but decrease healing 50, which, as we've seen multiple times now, since it's on every unit, if one unit targets another unit, it's by 50, then by 50 again, or something like that. It ends up being around 10% effective. That's not how that math is supposed to work. If you multiply it should be 25%, but it's not. So we've done it many times, tested it. It's 10%. Um, honestly, I think this map really rewards foresight and positioning. Even though I do find it infuriating sometimes, because if you have 3-1 units, you get really stuck on those walkways at the top sometimes. However, in combination with this rule set, I think this is one of the most skill intensive class matches that we can have. Do you agree, or how do you feel about that statement?
I agree only because of the parameters as well as the map, like in
That's
tandem.
exactly, that's what I mean. Together,
Because
it's
yeah,
there's no
it's
quicken, there's no cheese blade. Like
exactly.
you have to play good old War of the Visions. Like I'm not gonna say fair, because I mean if everyone has the same tools, it's quote unquote fair. But uh, not being able to kind of skip turns and stuff is pretty huge. You have to really think about moving or not moving, using an ability or not using an ability, where you're positioning on the map. Do you use a different TMR to give you jump 2? Do you use a unit because they have base jump 2?
When to use
Like red
those
mages and
abilities.
stuff. Yeah, when to use the abilities. Do you pop it early? Do you pop it later? Your opponent's buffing, they move to the corner. Are you going to engage them, or are you going to back off? Like the map's not huge, but it has like an illusion of being huge because you have to move more times than typical to actually get across the map due to the height differences.
And the fact that
So
it's circular, like if you move one way, they
they
can
can
just
just,
move the other
yeah,
way.
rotate, which is how I won one of my matches, and we'll talk about it. But with the great term that you will not spoil yet until I tell that story. But yeah, no, I think this is by far one of my favorite class matches, I will say. regardless of my yeah
Performance.
yeah, I was gonna say positive or negative win rate. I think that it really rewards foresight, planning, skill, all of that. Um, but yeah, do you want to jump into teams now? Kind of our
Well,
thoughts about it.
I just wanted to make sure to note that while it does have that aspect to it, like I fully agree that with what you said, there is still the aspect of pay to win that like less spending players still have to suffer from, in terms of like we were talking about like sub VCs and runes, and just like the new units. I know there's been a lot of complaints that I've already seen, even on the live PvP server, of people being like, "Fuck," like I hate certain teams. I hate that players are able to have so much evasion or maybe accuracy as well. I hate that players have been able to max these new units already, and blah blah blah. So, but that's kind of
I don't see how it's
that's
different than how it's
nothing.
always
It's
been.
nothing new. Yeah, exactly. So, in terms of this map in particular, yeah, I agree.
Like whenever there's a
And
new system, of course the
yeah,
people who spend are going to have the advantage.
yeah, yeah,
And like it happened with EX 120s when they first came out, but then they equalized as more people had access. And
yeah. So
the trust stones, honestly, it's actually not a whole lot. How much can you actually pay for trust stones right now? There's a couple ticket packs, maybe, because you
the
can like
you
select the UR ones,
yeah,
but
there's like the daily
you
for
still have
like
to
300
roll
paid and
them.
stuff.
Like you still have
Yeah,
to get the actual effects. Yeah, it's not. So here's the two sides of it, right? Like if the people who are complaining are newer players, that's always going to be the case. It
yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
matter if you're new now or new 6 months ago or new a year ago. You got to take time to catch up, but you can't expect to be totally competitive in the first bit. It's a gotcha game, and that's just the nature of the way it is. Um, so that kind of nulls that crowd out. The other half of it, yeah, I don't know why anyone would be surprised that who have had the advantage in the past in the new system have it. Now, I don't know.
I think
I
it
don't
comes
get it.
down to how much time you have to invest in the new stuff. Like
Honestly, right now
there's
it's more time more than anything.
exactly, yeah. So like, I mean, there were some fairly high-ranking people that I noticed, because I don't know, I try to read as much as I can, even if I'm not as active in the conversations on the server as I would like to be. But I definitely noticed some high-ranking people being like, oh, it's so pay to win, blah blah blah. So, yeah, I think it comes down to how much time you have available. Because like, if you have a lot of real life stuff going on, like my past week or two has been really busy with like projects due and blah blah blah. So, I
Right.
haven't personally spent as much time on everything as I'd have liked. But I think that's like kind of the biggest part, even that affects like spenders. But, anyways, back into the teams.
Yes. I'll start off just because mine tend to be a little simpler here because I am kind of still trying to force the whole mono ice thing. Like figure out within the confines of mono ice how can I make the best team for each map. I started off on this one. My first thoughts were units like Aranea because she already has natural move and jump. She's I think she's what 3-2 to start, but she has the Dragoon sub to do Dragon standard. Well, it's 3-4, but 2+. I knew she wouldn't have problems getting across the map. The jump trick has been insane. The whole level 1 jump, have immunity frames for a while, has been great. I was gonna start with Barrett, but he has the sort of line of sight issues with the pillars and also height issues because he's kind of that gunner side. But units like Rafal, who have sniper, or Curry, who are on ranger, they have less limitations height wise. The pillars are still annoying. Um, so I was kind of like thinking about this range team I want to be able to combat. I expected a lot of like Frederica, sort of cloud missile teams. But I also wanted mixed damage, so I had like Salir on my mind. Anyway, my first team was Aranea, Valentine Salir, and Rafal, I believe it was. And because there's no cost limitation, right?
Right.
For this one, you can just play whatever you want. I think with the sub VCs, we're gonna see kind of an exit from cost limited stuff, just because the cost would have to be so high, or they could do unit only, I guess. But
Yeah, I think we're
um,
expecting one or two in the near future.
And another one was Victora, but I haven't felt really good with Victora recently, and my jump is leveled on her. Unfortunately, I can't de-level it,
Right.
so I can't do the whole easier approach trick with her. But I have seen people have success with her. Anyway, start with them. Rafal did not feel amazing at first, and Salir was kind of underperforming as well. Although her sure hit did do some work early, especially with all the evasion we are seeing, like we were just talking about. I pretty quickly switched off of Rafal and I went to Velric actually. Tried him out for a match. Um, Kind of had similar approach issues. I think Lazarus and Jin is having a lot of success with him. He's got like a Rosa, Velric, something else team that's kind of like buffing up Velric, and then he's just life stealing off of people because that's not like a double heal, so he will actually just heal 50% from it.
Yeah,
Um,
I saw him healing like 5 or 6K
yeah, it'll be a lot because it's
like
multi hit.
a couple days
It's
ago
yeah,
when
so
you went 5-0 with that team.
yeah, it's pretty significant off of that because he has the healing buff on himself as well, so it's like up and down, and then he's hitting like 4 times or whatever. It's insane. But I was not built the same. However, having his buff to do the missile and pierce res super relevant, I think, right now. Anyway, after that, I switched to good old Curry. And for the first for the rest of day one, and I think all of day two, I was using Aranea, Curry, and Valentine Solir. And then Solir was kind of, she was nice to buff, and if people approached me, I could maybe get a detonation blast or an LB off to have some value. But most of the time, she would go in, do one thing, and just die. There's a lot of magic damage that was going around on the first couple of days that kind of shifted away after, but she's not very good against magic damage. She's much more of a anti-physical damage. She's not a tank, but she has like her physical barrier and some decent defense. So I took her out, and now I'm using Rafal in her place, just going straight physical. And if you kind of notice too, Aranea has a sure hit, Solir has a sure hit, Rafal has a sure hit, Curry has a sure hit. They all have different forms of sure hits, which has been really important, I think, in a lot of my matchups. Velric, I don't think has one, but you could stack him with some accuracy to make him all right. Rafal is being used as sort of a supportive unit, so she's holding Mashri TMR to get the shield on the team. She's using target so that she can hit people from range and use dispel spread a lot to kind of take off hastes, because I don't have my own source of haste, and Hastega is pretty impactful. I came against like Titus teams. I've got someone who's using Aerith, which I thought was, you could pick a better unit, I think, because that's a lot of not things that she can do with the free races being gone and the healing being gone. But she was just casting haste on everybody, and that worked out. Oh, and no quicken is the other one. But yeah, I would just dispel spread, and it was great. Uh, yeah, so that team's been feeling pretty good. That's the one I'm still on. My win rate has definitely gone up since switching to that, being able to kind of control the board a lot more, and I can stay back with Rafal and Curry, and then I can choose if Arne is going in or going out. Sometimes she just kind of stays in the middle, controls the middle by just jumping in the air, making sure that my turn cycles are going to come to where when she lands, she takes a turn within like 1 or 2 turn slots of when she's going to land, so she doesn't have she doesn't get chained out upon landing. It's been a lot of fun. I can talk about specific match things after, but do you want to talk about your team progression so far?
Yeah, actually, it's been really interesting. It's been a ride. It's been a journey. It's been a roller coaster, you could say. Like, I remember being just like at the beginning, like just baseline. I was super excited about this map. I have a lot of nostalgia about it. This was the first CM and the one that I did the best on, because I was like, this was when I was kind of still sort of at the peak of my um, like playing a lot of matches, being like the peak of my skill, I guess you could say. Um, this was the one where like I was almost rank one, but like one player, Mateo, like he shut me down with Frederica arm shot on my kill fay and like shut down my streak, and like I wasn't able to get rank one, but so close. So there's a lot of memories on
That
this
was
map.
Rain Kill Fake Grace, right?
Rain kill fay grace, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I still have a lot of love for that team, but obviously it's no longer really viable. But yeah, so coming in, I was ready to try a lot of things. I still think it's a tragedy that like we can't try out CM maps like beforehand, or like have them always available. Like in friendly matches.
With rule sets, you mean?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Because we
But
have this
like
map.
Do we?
Pretty sure we've had this map
I
for ages, right?
I don't think so. But if we do, like,
I'll look
that's
while we're
my bad.
chatting.
Yeah. So because I would love to play this map. I have a lot of love for it. Um, like we talked about before with like the strategy and like the positioning and stuff involved. So, anyways, I started with a rainbow team because I knew in advance that like evasion was going to be a problem. So I started kind of one similar to what we've seen Zalk using to great effect. I had like Oberon, Joom, and King Mont, I think it was. I had to focus on accuracy for King Mont because he doesn't have a guaranteed hit. I actually did not do that well against with using that team. I think I went like 4-1.
I didn't do
But
that well. I just only lost one match.
it could have been
No,
the
I
three.
know.
It was either the 4-1 day or the 3-2 day. But um, I struggled with. We've seen a lot of ice teams, and I can't like I just the teams that I went up against apparently I just for whatever reason I didn't end up doing as well as I was expecting. So I was like, all right, back to the drawing board. From there, I switched to a high accuracy wins team with Elena for like like a dodge like
Okay.
bruiser basically. And one of my matches that day was against Majin, and he destroyed me because he was using OG Victoria at 120 and with like Dragoon's Pride, like Kane's DMR for like
Hmm.
the the haste rush into the charm. So I had to deal with that. But really, the what destroyed me was the fact that he was able to use Barrett's LB on Elena, and he got the confuse off, and that just it was just rip from that. I was prepared to for a lot of accuracy. Like I was using Joom, uh, More the Merrier, and Elena, and
Okay.
More was just like stacked with accuracy. Like I was hitting like evade units left and right. So like I was really happy with that. But I've seen just too many ice teams, and I just could not, in good faith, like keep running a mostly win team. And just like do that to myself. Like I've run mostly win teams for like most of this year, actually since like
By the
since
way, you are right. We do not have that map. I thought we did.
yeah. So actually, most of this year isn't really saying much because it's only March. Um, Over the last year, I've run a lot of mostly win teams because I just have a lot of fun playing win units, the ones that they've released. So um, haven't been punished as much by ice teams until this time around, though. So I was just like, yep, back to the drawing board.
Would you say you have
Um,
a merry time playing more win units?
I used to, but yeah, there's just the ice teams are so strong right now. There's a lot of like you said guaranteed hits. There's a lot of accuracy. Even on a decreased healing power map, Rosa is actually one of the most impressive in my opinion because of her AOE healing buff, healing power
Is she
buff.
actually healing?
She can. So her healing power buff is across AoE centered on her. So she can raise her healing power by 30, but also her teammates. So
Oh,
that
okay.
mitigates a lot of the punishing factor of that. So and
Interesting.
the fact that her LB like heals and increases defense and stuff like that. Really the only thing that she can't she gets penalized for is her full life.
I've been wanting to run Rosa, but I kind of talked myself out of it because I didn't think she'd be able to heal much. Like getting the shell is cool,
Yeah, yeah.
but that's
She has like
interesting because that also
two
stops
sure
status
hits.
effects for the most part.
Yeah, yeah, something like that.
I think that's the same buff, right? Her
I
purified
can't
prayer gets
I can't
the
remember.
yeah, pure prayer turns into righteous prayer. Yeah, yeah. So it nullifies poison, blind, sleep, paralyze, confuse, stop, frostbite, disable, and stun. Then gives spirit and healing
Right.
power.
I mean,
That
especially
is
since you're
interesting.
since you're using Rafal for her sniper stuff, like you might consider using Rosa instead. So I mean,
Hmm.
alongside Arnea and Curry, obviously.
I lose the
So
dispel, but yeah,
yeah.
might be worth.
Um, so in light of all the ice teams, I was like, fuck it, I'm making a fire team. And so the day before yesterday, I ended up doing like a Kingmont Rush fire team with Terra was obviously the first Final Fantasy 6 unit I
Hmm.
maxed. I'm a big fire fan. So I went Kingmont, Terra, and Setia. And unfortunately, Setia, like as much accuracy as I stacked on her, she still had like a 2% chance to hit in a lane I fought. And I was like, God, I feel so bad. I remember talking about Setia like when she was released and being like, yeah, I know she has problems against evasion, but she's so good in other aspects. You just have to take that into account. Um, yeah, just her accuracy needs a buff. So I think the fact that I didn't have an accuracy buff is what really hurt me on this team. To because I basically could not target Elena. I had to try to target like June or something. But anyway, so the strategy with that fire team was using Dragoon's Pride on King Mons, kind of like I was talking about Majin using it on OG Victoria for the charm, except for King Mont using his LB. Obviously, it's an emanation around him, so he has to get in close. So I basically ran Shadowrunner and Shikuchi on King Mons and used Dragoon's Haste on him. He ran in and would blow people up with, Berserk statuses and etc. And then, Setia and Terra would clean up afterwards. I had a lot of fun, actually. I really enjoyed Terra. And the fact that she fits so well in that team, being like the magic unit to use like some of the magic fire VCs. That was really fun. It wasn't very effective though. I went like 2 and 3 because one, Terra's movement sucks. She doesn't get any buffs for movement. She doesn't get like nimble movement or anything like that. I had to use Katone's DMR on her, and the fact that she has these other buffs that are kind of necessary, like Immortal Spirit for one, and like I think one other one that I was trying to juggle using. I used Katone's DMR too early a couple of matches and got punished for it because, like you said before, like she got stuck on the two height central area. Um, when it came down to her and an opponent's Halloween Little Leela, who
Oh
had
yeah, she'll skate around.
she had enough evasion for me to have like a 50% chance to hit her without using her meltdown like guaranteed hit. And so she was able to skirt to the corners and she eventually whittled Terra's HP down. And I was so mad because my strategy worked and I took out the first two units of their team and then Halloween Leela managed to just barely scrape it out. Like if I had one more turn, I would have been able to kill her. So I was kind of mad. I was like, all right, this isn't working. So um, yesterday I switched to this light team that we were talking about, Jaden, Elena, and Locke. I kind of had to rush Locke up in a similar fashion as Terra. Spent a little bit more Vizier than I was really hoping to. I think I spent 6K on buying Locke's shards just because um, he hasn't been as hard. He hasn't been as easy to build as Terra and Celeste for me because of Celeste having her. This is her shard week, and like Terra, I got really lucky with. So I had to spend a little bit more on Locke, but I knew that he was going to be worth it based on what I've heard. His performance and this class match has been kind of bonkers. So I tried him out, and sure enough, yeah, he is really effective on these light of eight teams right now. Um, so basically, I have Eunice TMR on Jaden, I have Mashri's TMR on Elena, and I have Locke's TMR on Locke. And so it's just it's kind of the complete opposite of the King Mont's Rush Fire team, um, where like
Okay, his gives agility and luck in a
it does,
buffs.
yeah.
Okay, I didn't
So
know what his
instead
thing
of
did.
instead of the Wells TMR, where like it allows you to stop, like disable and stop, I believe.
Stop and
Um,
something else. I want to say it was actually blind, but I'll check.
Oh yeah. Stop and blind. That sounds right. I think I was thinking of maybe
A better TMR.
nine S's TMR or something. Yeah, something for the disabled. But yeah, so Luel's TMR it increases luck, but it doesn't increase agility, but it does stop the stop. So
It's
that's
blind.
important against Catone, but I haven't seen like more than like one or two maybe Catones this time around. So that's been nice, but I don't know if it's worth seeing so many more like evade teams. So basically, if I'm not facing a rush team, which I think Majin has a really good idea in terms of the threat that OG Victoria still poses, especially with like having like more of an AP gain like multiplier on her. I think she had like the acquired AP up or something as one of her passives that he was using. The
Oh yeah,
fact
I
the
have
fact
a
that
real quick trust stones. AP gained up
yeah
has been big.
yeah
That's one of the other ones I was using.
those yeah that's one of the that's something I was going to mention. That's one that I use on not like one of my non-evade units. Um, I think it was actually on Keymont, actually. That on top of using the Mythgraven blade, it was just great. Like I had no problem using the LB. So yeah. So anyways, Majin has a really good response to these evasion teams that kind of need a few turns to really build up their highest level of effectiveness. Like Elena, like she has courage. She has to buff on herself. I would use nimble movement on her because obviously you really need the move and the jump up. She has her evade buff with the decreased AP consumption. So that's 3 turns right there. Jaden, he's much more effective when he can have both his March of the Stag buff, like the magic buff and agility, as well as his range buff. And that's not even including like a TMR that he's using. So that's another 3 turns. And then Locke also has stuff that he can use. So like my first 3 turns are basically uh, kind of crucial to building up this overwhelming momentum for the rest of the match. And so rushing evasion teams like that is a big deal right now, and I think that's part of why Majin's doing so well. And kudos to him, obviously. And I would take note of that honestly. Like if you are struggling against these evasion teams, you might try to incorporate part of that strategy into your team. So yeah, like I said, I went 5-0, and unfortunately, I think I'm probably gonna have to stick with this team.
Unfortunately.
It's either this or like an ice team, and like I was talking about, like Rosa, etc. Ice teams are really strong right now, almost as strong as light teams, I guess I would say. I think I would still not be worried facing an ice team with this light evasion team, but I'd have to be careful. So yeah, those are kind of my favorites right now. Light evade and well, not favorites, but like my if I was to make a tier list, which I hate, I hate doing that. Like light evade,
They're favorites
whatever
to
ice
win.
teams. Yeah, they're favored. I'm not really struggling against lightning at all right now. I just annihilated like a Cloud Frederica team, and I think I may have ran into a couple of them, but uh I was easily able to apply the reaction rate down, either with like Setia or Elena. And just the fact that they can't reflex and they take so much damage from magic in particular. But Cloud is more susceptible to magic damage than physical damage, I think. But um, they need to get in range, and if they don't like one shot, then they're going to get one shot, and well, Cloud might get 2 shot. So yeah, I guess it's really weird to me, having struggled with Frederica for most of my PvP career, to not worry at all about Frederica like lightning teams right now, and that's just it's kind of weird. It's kind of a
Well,
bummer.
well, especially like Jaden has a really high innate missile resist too. So specifically against teams like Frederica and Cloud, who their initial like volley, let's say, of offense will typically be the missile stuff, at least for Cloud. And then
Yeah.
once he gets closer to do some of his slash stuff, but like your Jaden doesn't care
Well,
probably.
it's not just that, but having Mashri's TMR on the protect and shell from
Yeah, yeah.
Yuna's TMR, and Locke has Nightblade sub. Like he has double resist as well.
Oh, he does have the Nightblade. Okay.
Yeah, so like it was like I was not worried, especially because of this middle part. Like uh, Frederica really, she couldn't really use barrage. Like neither of them could really use barrage because of just like the hit chance. I saw them trying to check, and so they really had to focus on sharpshoot. It took her 4 sharpshoots to kill Locke. 4. I was like, all right, we're gaming. So yeah,
We're gaming.
yeah, it was. I felt bad for them.
Yeah, my Curry, I've been stacking like Alexandrite ring. He's got all whatever accuracy I can put on him from like Odin, things like that. He hasn't had too many issues hitting evasion, at least with like a 70%, even if they're like buffed up and stuff. So that's been pretty nice. Obviously, he has sharpshoot to fall back on. But there are some games that like Frostmob Barrage against an evasion team was like 100 on the unit that's not actually evade, like Jaden. It was like 76 on
Nice.
unit B, and then maybe Elena would be down at like the 56 to 60 range, but for the most part, he hits pretty nicely.
That sounds
And
like people
Nano,
not using runes or something. I don't
it's
know.
I don't know.
It
So
doesn't
well,
seem like he should
that
be that accurate.
he has decent accuracy, and like I said, I mean, I have the full Alexandrite ring on. I've got Odin in the party. I've got Odin on him for
Right.
so like there's a lot of flat accuracy being built there. Granted, his luck isn't as high, but I think his dex is decent. Um, yeah, as you've seen on the streams though, my luck, will say, with hitting status effects this
Oh my
class match
god,
has
dude.
been
The
absolutely
swing.
silly. Like Curry has been the most overperforming unit. Like it's insane. I've hit
One of the top MRs right now.
immobilizes, I've hit poisons, so many frostbites. Now, again, this is what I was saying on stream, I think last night. Granted, like if I hit 3 units of frostbite in one hit, it's like, oh my god, you hit the frostbite, but it's like
Right.
that's one in
If it's
three.
a one in
It's
three
like
chance, yeah.
it's like a 36, 38%, something like that, depending on who I hit. Um yeah, if you do it over time, it's probably closer to being a little above average, but not as absurd as it looks. However, the last match last night, of course, I hit the triple frostbite, which was just
Oh god, that's disgusting.
insane. The Oberon already had 140 AP, and I think they had Jaden as well. It was actually Zolk's team, not Zolk, but someone. It was Urza
Yeah.
Rage using Zolk's team. I say Zolk's team. Maybe he came up with himself, but I'm just references. And Jaden died before he could even use all of his AP. So I'm gonna say that it only mattered that I hit the Joom, because the Joom ended up running out of AP when she approached, and she was useless for 3 turns. But yeah,
Even
it's
Oberon.
been really insane.
After Oberon used his LB in that match, like he was down
Mm.
to 1 AP. So like
He did end up running out at the very end,
yeah.
but
So yeah, it definitely took its toll. The earlier you can get frostbite, obviously the better, right?
yeah. And then there was a game against like a Dwayne, who I guess wasn't on Dragoon sub, because he didn't have the ability to go like the move and jump, and he also didn't have the move passive. So he was 3-1
Yes.
Dwayne.
Whoa.
And I had Curry up on like the little like beams, and then Dwayne was on the other side on the ground. He couldn't get up because the way I was positioning, I was just running around, kiting him, hit for like 1k, try to hit the immobilize, missed, hit the poison. So I'm like, cool, he's on a clock. And I kited him around the whole map, and the chat's like laughing or whatever. And so Curry 1v1 the Dwayne, and
Sounds
at
like
the
a
end
silver player or something.
there was the greatest comment I've seen in quite some time,
Oh
by
yeah.
the I think his name is the Church of Frist, I believe is his name. He's doing fairly well in class matches right now. He coined it the Curry Scurry, and
It's
he had,
beautiful. It's a
had
thing of
me
beauty.
laughing for so long. I'm like, yeah, you can't spell scurry without curry, right? So yeah, that is what it will be known from
Very
now
scary.
on. Whenever Curry 1v1's a unit by kiting, it'll be the Curry Scurry. And it's happened 2 or 3 times now where Curry is my last unit and he's killed people just because his positioning is insane. And I got to use, so I don't remember if I think I talked about this on the podcast, but the Summer Lilith TMR that gives 2 range and an attack buff with Emerald Echo is really fun on Curry.
I know you were
and
looking forward to it, so
and and
I think you're right.
and that is what I'm using. So he can, on turn 1, I typically post up on I move, there's those like 4 corners of the height 2 blocks that are behind the pillars.
We used to banish people to the
Yeah,
shadow realm like
we used to
Gilgamesh.
shadow run people with transpo. Yeah, exactly. I put him up there after turn 1, so he's very safe there. It's usually pretty far from the opponents. If they have a ranged unit, they typically can't find an angle to hit him. On the second turn, he can move to either side of that pillar onto the 2 hikes. He has jump 2. He can hit the entire map pretty much with that +2 range buff. It is something of beauty
Fucking
to be able
barrage.
to frost mob barrage the opposite corner of the map, and there's only 2 spots he can't hit depending on which like side you choose because of that pillar. But typically I can hit 2 units with it, or sometimes 3 if the opponent positions weirdly. And then I have RNA in the middle on turn 2, jumped in the air, just waiting. So if they approach, she gets to land and then kill them. and then he's in the back, and then Rafal's somewhere on the outskirts looking for a dispel spread. It's actually a really
Just
interesting setup.
it kind of reminds me of Majora's Mask, where it's like RNA is like she's jumping in the air, like it's like dawn of the third day, where like
You
the
are
moon is about
you're
to
gonna have to bring me
crash.
back in. I have no idea what you're saying. You got to reel me back in on this one.
So Majora's Mask, basically it involves it's over the course of 3 days, and you have to
Right.
manipulate time and stuff to be able to survive because like at the end of the third day, the moon like crashes into the town, and the moon has this crazy like
It's like a face,
disturbing
right?
like angry face. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's that's what that reminds me of like inexplicably because I mean, well, I mean obviously I'm a Zelda fan, but the whole like Doom of Damocles, like you're about to die kind
You're
of
just like
thing.
watching it happen. Like
Yeah, you're like, oh god, there's nothing I can do.
it's like you look in the
Um,
sky, the golf ball's getting bigger. Just
I've
like
I've always been a fan of like the jump engage strategy of dragoons, so that's really cool to hear that working out. And the fact that Curry doesn't even have his master ability 2 yet with that +2
bro,
range,
when he
it's
gets
just
that,
gonna
it's 25 base frostbite chance, 2 extra range. You have
yeah,
any idea how insane? Oh man, I can't wait. He's already one of my favorite units. And I think I've said this before. Fun fact: first MR I ever pulled. But
stupid frog face.
yeah, he is a little scummy, but I don't care. He's fun. Uh, yeah, it's been pretty incredible. And like, if there's a team that's like goes to the corner, he gets to do the 100 distinction buff, which I believe it gives attack, magic, and agility. And so it's just like this super relevant triple buff in a cross AoE. And then we have, like I said, we have Rafal with the target, so she has extra range, dispelling. Um, the combination of sure hit has been important too. I mentioned this earlier, but like the fact that it can spread across damage types is also really relevant. Like having the slash, like the AoE resist down and then slash from Rafal, or I have the brandish, which is a double hit pierce from Aranea, or we have Curry with sharpshoot, of course, or it's just like accuracy. You gamble on 76s, but um, it's interesting because I also, for some reason, when I first read the rule set, I thought the Immortal Spirit was also nullified. Until someone used it, I was like, "Oh shit, it's not," and I realized it. But RNA can remove it with her ability if they don't have evasion because she has Equalizer, which I also forgot removes just buffs in general. But yeah, ice is definitely a cool spot. There's a lot of cool tools. I'm gonna have to potentially look at Rosa tonight though because I would like to use her and I wanted to. I just wasn't because I didn't have confidence in her usefulness outside of the healing. But that is she gives AP too, which is
Yeah.
interesting. Now, if you have an AP buff like that, so say she gives like a flat 15, which I think is what it might be, 20. If someone has acquired AP up, they get more, right? From her,
That is a good question.
or is it from their sources only?
I think it's only from spending TP.
It's not from like revitalize or whatever else. It's like a
No,
flat like percent.
or spending TP or like hitting people, whether from the side and the
Right,
front
right.
or behinds. I don't think it affects given AP. It's like acquired AP. You know.
Right. Well, they are acquiring it.
I know. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
No, I might have to test that out and see what
yeah,
happens, but that's an interesting thought anyway. Because if that works, like acquired AP 40 with that 20, like that's what 25, 28 AP is what you get. I don't know. There's a lot of interesting shenanigans that can happen with her LB, even outside of the healing.
if it does work that way, that's crazy.
Yeah, just it's like a super TMR. Granted, it is 58 AP, so it kind of hurts a bit, but yeah, man, I'm trying to think of like other interesting things. I did lose to a team that had 2 wind units, which was infuriating because like the pride of you know being mono ice is like, oh, I got
Right.
this mono wind team, let's fuck them up, and that typically is what happens. Typically, you just kill the carries and you ignore Zoom until late game, and then you chip away at her. Uh, but someone had Winter Luartha, Halloween Lilila, and King Mont, and King Mont, trying to kill a King Mont as mono ice is just
Right.
miserable. Plus, he had
Yeah.
Mastery TMR. He got his element buff off early. He's just running.
It's
I'm doing like
like
1,000 damage. He's got like 12k health. I'm just like,
it's
ugh.
it's almost as bad as trying to kill Fryevia with a Magic Wind team.
Oh, a Magic Win team against Fravia would be silly. Like
I got
the
destroyed last class match because of running into like a nice team with Fryevia, and I was using like Halloween Little Lila, Joom, and Winter Luartha, and
Fravia might be an
yeah,
interesting choice for beating Mono Light, or at least tanking Mono Light, because she's really good against. She has high spirit,
Magic, yeah.
which they can penetrate, but she also has slash resist now. Um,
Can't forget
she can put
Protected
missile
Shell
resist
and
on, yeah,
blah blah
protects and
blah.
shells, put that all on herself. That could be interesting. Her movement is god awful though. I'd have to do something about
Yeah.
that, which I don't know what it would be.
I wouldn't really recommend any tanks besides Joom, honestly, at this point.
Or Tingmont.
Like King Mon's against ice
Mhm.
maybe, but like he doesn't have a guaranteed hit like Joom does, so you'd be risking going like him being useless against evasion teams, and that's too big a risk in my opinion.
That's fair. Any notable units or teams you've seen? I guess we talk about Zalk's team because it's a pretty good like rainbow setup. He's doing Oberon, Joom, and Jaden,
Uh,
and his
he
missile
switched.
resist is insane. What's that?
He switched to. God, who did he switch to yesterday?
Well, I mean that team
Um,
is notable. So
but yeah,
regardless
yeah,
if
it is
it's his
notable.
current team, that team seemed pretty versatile in what it could do. It had a good elemental advantage. This is across the board. You got the Earth unit for the Lightning teams. I guess the Wind unit against Earth less relevant. I haven't seen a lot of Earth units. Um, but you have enough to combat ice that Joom's not like useless. And plus, Joom tanks ice anyway. Like she just has a lot of damage reduction with shells and protects and stuff like that. Um, just it happens to be she takes a little more from ice. And then Jaden has crazy support, crazy missile resistance, like basically nullify missile. Because like when I faced Urza Rage on the same team, I had to like really, I had to turtle up in the beginning and kind of like spread my units out, make sure they're out of range, and wait for buffs to wear off. Try to get like, it was mostly trying to do like status effects and stacking those kind of things instead of doing damage. Because I think when I barraged the Jaden, well the whole team, but Jaden was involved. I had like zero damage because he was nullify missile damage, but I still got to hit the frostbite because it still hit him. Really weird to navigate as a missile focused team. It actually made me question like, should I be focusing this much on that damage type? Because Rafale's like the honorary missile unit.
The support missile unit.
Yeah, basically. But I feel like I had more thoughts and I just cannot pull them out of my brain of like
Yeah, that's
other
fair.
team comps and stuff. Anything you can think of? My brain's like super cloudy today. Sorry if
Oh no,
it's
no,
becoming
it's
obvious
yeah.
here on the
We
street on the
we both had
podcast.
like a late start this morning. Um, honestly, most of my struggle has really just been finding the most comfortable team. So a lot of my mistakes. I've lost 6 games so far, and half of those were from using a fire rush team.
Wait,
And
you've lost 6 games?
yeah,
Aren't you like top 50?
yeah, I was like at 20 something
Oh
last
wait,
night.
what was your starting rank though?
I started at Diamond 2.
Oh, okay. I started in platinum. I'm like, how the fuck? I'm
Yeah.
like, I've lost 5 games.
Yeah, so I've definitely I should be close to Diamond Master right now if I didn't fuck around so much, but half of the games were from just enjoying a fire rush team because that's not really something that happens or that is allowed to happen too much. But despite losing as much as I did, like those 3 matches, like it was a hell of a time. I really enjoyed that. Like if I had employed a more measured and maybe conservative strategy, I think I would have done better. But I was like, fuck this. I'm hunting down ice teams. I'm going to berserk the shit out of people. Actually, I think I only ran into like one ice team using a fire team. I was like,
Of course,
ah,
that's how it works, right? You switch and then
yeah.
you never see them again.
So, but it wasn't just the rushing aspect to it. It was using Setia, who I really enjoy. It was using Terra, who I really enjoy. I remember like Isvar, another notable PvPer. He is also using a fire team, and I think he also used Terra. And she's a blast, man. She's really fun. The fact that she has Paladin sub is really helpful with like not just Immortal Courage or Immortal Spirit, but like Sentinel for like a gap closer, and the fact that she has guaranteed hits and all the rest of her stuff. We'll cover more in detail next week. She was really fun, and I may have been a bit hasty. I mean, obviously, I rushed her to 120. She was my first 120 Final Fantasy 6 unit. I should have used her in free matches before jumping her straight into this tournament environment where like you got to bring your A game. Um, like I said, I had to figure out that like when to use Katone's TMR to be the most effective. Like there was the first game I used it first turn, and
Ooh, yeah.
I buffed courage and stuff later, but I ended up not having enough turns with it um, to be the most effective use of that move and jump buff. So that was like the cause of one loss, and so there's a bit of learning curve with getting used to um, how to use her the most effectively. So um, I am looking forward to having her be a part of my team though in the future. So it was worth the learning experience. But yeah, I shouldn't have lost as much as I have in my opinion. But I've been having fun. Like every single class match, I've had fun, and it doesn't matter like what my performance has been like. So even the few that I've been like lower than top 100, I still had fun. So that's actually why I'm still enjoying the game. I think.
Yeah, and I'm not sort of enjoying the game aspect as well. I went to someone's stream last night. I think it was Lad D I rated.
Yeah,
And we were just talking. He asked like how my class matches went. We were talking about teams and stuff, and he made a comment. And I was really saying like, it's as much as we can complain about things that happen in the game, like it is
and
a
we can.
very yeah, oh yeah, we can. It's a very good sign that we still have so many viable class match teams where we have these rainbow like Oberon, Jaden, and June. I mean, you replace Jaden on that team with King Mon. That's a completely different team dynamic when you don't have that ranged unit and you have an extra tank. Like it's similar, it's 2/3, but it's so different. We have mono ice with like 7 different relevant units you could use. You have like
seven
mono
di-
fire, mono
Seven
wind.
different relevant attacks.
Yeah,
There's only six or five or whatever.
I said relevant units.
I know, but like it made me think of that.
Then you have like mono light, which I mean, people are gonna say like, oh, mono light's the de facto best, blah blah. It's like really, it's not. It doesn't always win. It doesn't. Maybe
It's
if
true.
with a
It's very true.
perfect piloting, it would, but I don't think that's the case. Uh, Mono Dark you don't see as much nowadays, but I could see a relevant team doing that. We have like there's other mixed teams I've seen. I can't even like the double wind single fire team I saw. I've heard success with mono water beating a mono lightning team
Yeah,
recently.
that's
So
crazy.
it was like Frederica, I think it was Frederica Ibarra Cloud against like Celeste and 2 other
That's just
water
scary.
units, and apparently Celeste just like carried the match against them. Um, Really interesting to hear that. I mean, that's like if I lost to mono wind, which I mean it's happened before with like double quick and mono wind with like Halloween Leela, but uh,
The only thing that feels worse than that, I think, besides reflex, is losing to like an auto team.
yeah, yeah, it does.
But yeah, still, there obviously there's like the worst feeling losses, and that's definitely among them.
So I think it's still a good sign that even at this point in the game, there's still that variety, and I'm not like all doom and gloom all the time. So just kind of want to put that out there. Just thought ahead based on last night sort of conversations post stream. So
No, you're not doom and gloom. You're frostbite and gloom. It's a
yeah,
different
right.
set of specs.
Oh man, I'm sure everyone is stunned by our puns here. Ugh. Anyway,
There's
uh,
more the merrier to come.
we're so toxic. Anyway, do you have any other thoughts for this week? Going into the rest of class match, any notes for people who, you know, might want more advice for class matches, etc. Anything about Final Fantasy 6 to look forward to? Any
Um,
thoughts that you have whatsoever?
I have a couple. Um, and so I know we've been kind of teasing this for a while. Um, I am looking forward to hearing from people from other windows, from other CM time slots. Obviously, you and I play on window 3. I've heard a lot about how window 1 and window 2 are like there's kind of like almost like different metas depending on the class match, obviously. Sometimes like window 1 is easier than, it depends on the window. So like this time around, apparently window 1 is really like competitive and challenging in terms of the teams that are employed and the players that run on it. Window 2 is I think it's kind of the usual amount of players and Window 3 is kind of the same. But it's just interesting. Like apparently, like Window 3 has a lot of mono ice teams, and that's kind of why I was getting frustrated with that team comp. Apparently, like Window 2 isn't seeing as much, and it's weird that like Window 1, I'm hearing about like a lot of like or more than I would expect, like more water teams in Window 1. So I like a part of this is a big part of what we're doing is about perspective, right? So um I wish that we had like a live audience that we could be like we could ask them and be like, hey, like so what have your experiences been in other windows, other time frames? And so we're kind of moving towards that. We're still kind of trying to get comfortable with it and stuff. So it'll have to suffice for now. Like for those of you watching, like if you have experiences you want to share with us, I'm really interested in hearing about them because you know we don't play in window 1. It's like super early for us, especially when you know, have to work and stuff. Window 2, again, like we're working or we're going to class or whatever. So like those of us that are forced to play in window 3 are kind of like, hmm, how's it going?
Everyone's
And I'm
always like,
sure it's the
"Oh, Window
same.
3 is so easy."
I'm
I'm like,
sure
"All right, guys, come fight me then. Like, you
I'm
want
sure
to
it's
say
the
it's so
same.
easy?"
I'm sure we have a similar perspective for those of us that have to play in these other windows. So I think that's an interesting aspect to class match that we don't really cover too much. I'd like to hear more about how the other windows are doing and like when like what your optimal times of the day are for playing and stuff and who you usually fight against and that kind of thing. Because I think that also varies and that's important to take note of. Other than that, hopefully we have Locke back next week to talk to join us talking about the Final Fantasy 6 units.
So you just throwing that out
Um,
there.
yeah, well, yeah, you know, if he doesn't join us, you know, it's like he has checked out the second anniversary. He's talked to us about like how he's doing, like getting comfortable back with things. If we don't see him, you know, that's obviously no pressure, no rush or whatever. But it's kind of on the horizon that he'd be joining us again once he gets comfortable with things and has like he thinks he has to wait for to have stuff to offer. We obviously know that like he always has stuff to offer. So definitely looking forward to that. Hopefully next week we'll see him,
Just
especially
have him
because
watch
of
this episode. Be like, "You think you can offer at least what this was?" Like, I wanna.
um, and like as we know, like he hasn't really been playing class match recently. So um, I know I, he's probably lower ranked than he usually is. So I'm kind of curious to see at lower ranks like what you may be running into. So you know, if you want to give us that perspective, that's also important to me. So yeah, we still have a bunch to talk about. So yeah, stay tuned. You know, next week, and I think we were talking before the podcast. Sorry, I'm kind of rambling, but I think what we're expecting is Chaos Odin, and then Velis the next week, and then Trials.
Oh yeah,
I
speaking
know
of
that's
that,
not really.
I was wrong last week.
Yeah,
Apparently, ice comes before water for the crystal
yeah,
knights.
it's weird.
So R.I.P. my Visior. Do
Oh
do do
man,
do do do.
hopefully you can recover. I know those are kind of more PVE relevant uh, in terms of releases, but
You take that
um,
shit back.
yeah, we'll see how Velas
Bellis
does in
will
a couple
destroy
weeks.
everything.
All right, but yeah, those are my thoughts.
Yeah, I have none besides what we've been talking about. So yeah, hope you enjoyed, Kevin Zach, bro.
I've been Dan Boone.
And we'll see you next time.